Good day, everyone. This video will be covering the discussion for Chapter 8 of AC 43 Financial Mathematics, and we will be covering the topic depreciation. So, before I start, let me turn off muna my camera para hindi sila mag-agaw sa itong signal. Okay, so let's start. So, what is depreciation? So, depreciation is the allocation of the cost of long-term assets. Cost of long-term assets to the periods benefiting from their use. Okay, so in accounting, diba guys, there we have three what do you call this one, expense recognition principles. The um what do you call this one, the direct association, the cost allocation, and then the direct expense na recognition. So we'll be talking about the systematic allocation of expenses of long-term assets. So that's what we call depreciation. So in depreciation, we'll be taking into account for major components, which is the original cost or the total cost of the asset that you have purchased. So for our original cost, um, it may entail um, the cost of the actual cost of purchase, the transportation cost or the freight needed to bring the asset to its location, and then the handling costs such as installation, handling, and setup costs such as installations and such. That is necessary for the long-term asset to be used. And then we have here our estimated residual value, which means that at the end of its useful life of the asset, or when you have done using the asset, you expect the asset to generate um, some income, and that is our estimated residual value. So the value of your asset at the end of its life. Sometimes it's zero, sometimes you can sell it for scrap. That's why we have this what we call as the estimated residual value. It doesn't mean that this is the actual amount that you will be receiving once you retire the asset, but it is just an estimate. Okay, so this can also be called as the salvage value, scrap value, and our trade-in value. Okay, trade-in value. Okay, and then we have here our estimated useful life. Estimated useful life. We're in. This is how the number of years or the number of units you expect that you will be using the asset for, or that you expect the asset will produce. Okay, so and lastly we have our depreciation method. In this video we will only be covering four depreciation methods, because these are the usual methods that are used for financial statement reporting. So we have straight line method, which we also call sometimes as SLM, depreciation. And then we also have our sum of the year's digits method. which we also call as SYD. And then we have our declining balance method, which usual forms is double declining, which means 200%. And then we have 150% declining, things like that. Okay, so if you're if um yeah, so that's it, 200% or 150%. And then what else? Lastly, we'll be covering units of production method. Production method. Okay. So for the first three, we will be the life of the asset will matter, or the useful life will matter. Useful life will matter. However, for the last one, which is units of production, the useful life of the asset is actually estimated by the units to be produced, expected to be produced, while using the asset. Okay, and when it comes to salvage value, is salvage value considered in computing for the annual depreciation expense? For our return method, yes, it is considered. For our SYD, yes, it is considered. For our declining balance method, it's not. It's not. What you call this is not considered. And then um, for our units of production, it's also considered. Okay, so you always have to remember that when it comes to computing, when it comes to using the declining balance method, your what do you call this one? Your salvage value will not be considered during the calculation, but it will be considered when determining the last year's depreciation expense. Okay, and then what else is there to remember? Mm, I think that's just it. Well, by the way, aside from this four, we also have compound interest method, which are the annuity method and your sinking fund method. So for since we will in our in accounting, we will only be using these four. That's why I will only be covering these four depreciation methods. Okay. So for our aside from the four that we have, no, that I have told you, we also have this what we call as total depreciable value. Depreciable value, which is calculated by subtracting from the total cost your salvage value. Okay, so with that said, let's start discussing our depreciation methods, and let's start with our straight line method, our SLM. So when it comes to straight line method, once you have your formula for your annual depreciation will be computed as follows. So let's put na lang a formula para mas ganda. Okay. So for your straight line method, your annual depreciation is equal to insert design section. Total cost less your salvage value, and then over the useful life. Okay, or you can simply say for reduction total depreciable value over your useful life. Okay. Now, with that, let's go to a sample problem. Okay. Let me see. Okay. So let's say that we will be using this uh, problem for all of our what do you call this one, examples. Okay. Sige, let's use Barton Enterprises. So Barton Enterprises purchased a computer system for 90,000. Shipping charges were 1 to 50. And setup programming amounted to 3,750 pesos. The system is expected to last mm, okay, sige. So with that, let's have the following assumptions. First assumption, the system is expected to last 4 years and has a residual value of 15,000. Use straight line method. And then the second assumption would be the system is expected to last 4 years. Use some of the use to use SYT. And then so this is our letter B. Okay. And for our letter C, this is expected to last 4 years and has a residual value. Use the cunning balance method. 200%. So this is our C. Oh, no. Apologies. Okay. And D 150. Lastly, our E, which is for our E, the system is expected to last to 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 be used for 8,000 hours. Sabi no? Wait lang. Sige, pagpalagay na lang natin 8,000 hours. Okay. And has a residual value of 15,000. Use units of production method. Okay. So with that, our straight line method, our annual depreciation would be our total cost. Let's solve muna for our total cost. Total cost is equal to our 90,000, and then we add our 1,250 because it's necessary. The transportation cost was necessary to bring the computer system towards the company, and the setup and the programming was necessary so that the what do you call this one, so that the computer system can be used by the company. Okay, so for a total cost of 95,000. Okay, so 95,000. Control Z. Okay, so 95,000. Ah, no, no, this one. 95 Z. Bakit? 95,000. And our salvage value or residual value amounts to 15,000, while our useful life is 4 years. Okay, or we can simply compute for our total depreciable value, which is equal to the total cost of 95,000 less our salvage value of 15,000, which gives us 80,000. And the useful life is 4 years. Okay. So meaning this, our annual depreciation will be 95,000 plus 15,000, and we divide it by 4, 20,000, or simply 80,000 divided by 4, which is equal to 20,000. Now, after this, we can now what do you call this one? We can now build our depreciation schedule. So end of year. Oh, mhm. Okay, and then we have our annual depreciation. Expand that, accommodate for the over depreciation, and then we have our accumulated depreciation. Again, let's expand this. Lastly, our book value. Okay. For our book value, guys, our book value, this is equal to, okay, let me insert na lang. Okay. So let me insert here muna okay, our formulas, no? Ilang papapod tanawin. So let's total depreciable value or total depreciation depreciable value is equal to total cost less salvage value. Okay. While our book value is equal to depreciable. Our book value is equal to total cost minus accumulated depreciation. Okay. So with that in mind, let's complete our table. So we have 4 years. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So we know that our annual depreciation is 20,000. We copy that to 4 years because when you say straight line, meaning our annual depreciation will be constant all throughout the life of your asset unless there are changes in your estimates, which will be covered in your accounting, in your advanced in your accounting subjects. Okay, so for our accumulated depreciation, we just add the depreciation from the first year to the very last year, or to whatever period ang gina-question. So for example, our cumulative depreciation for year 1 is only 20,000 because this is our first year of depreciation. On the second year, we add our previous accumulated depreciation and this year's depreciation expense that will give us 40,000. Same on the third year, the previous year accumulated depreciation plus our annual depreciation. And lastly, for year 4, do the same. Okay, so if you want to know your accumulated depreciation without you doing the schedule, but simply doing the for do simply what do you call this one, calculating it through a formula. So your accumulated depreciation would be the depreciation is equal to a fraction here. Sorry. Oh, no, 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 no. Yeah, design. There we go. Okay, so total cost less salvage value, and then we divide that by our useful life, and we multiply that by the number of years expired. So for example, the question is the accumulated depreciation on year 3. So that would mean 95,000. Can I just copy this? And then we multiply that by 3. With that, you will get 25,000 less our 15,000. Divide that by 4 and multiply by 3. You get 60,000, which is equal to your accumulated depreciation on year 3. Okay. For your book value, again, we deduct from our total cost of 95,000 our accumulated depreciation. Okay, so we continue that for all the years. So still 95,000 less our accumulated depreciation. Now, what you should always remember is that at the end of its life, which is the 4th year, your what do you call this one? Your ending book value should equate to your salvage value. Oh, I forgot to add something here. This is 95,000, which is your oh, now page 1, right? Okay, this is your original cost. So if you'll be asked to now what is your book value on year 3, then your book value on year 3 would be equal to um total cost less uh okay, let me just increase that. Book value is total cost less accumulated depreciation which is equal to the total cost minus average value of useful life times the number of years. So for that, if you want to solve it, then we'll get this. This is our original cost is 95,000, and we deduct from it this one. What's our parentheses? Okay. So if we solve for it, then it would look like this. Oh, no. So we'll just have to add here 95,000 plus. Okay, so your book value on year 3 is 35,000. So with that, we're done with straight line method. Next is we'll be discussing the sum of the years digit method, or SYD. For SYD, the same is still the same, that uh you have to solve for your total depreciable value, which is the same, which is 80,000. And after getting your total depreciable value, you'll now have to compute for the SYD, or the sum of the years digit. So for example, um so SYD is you'll get this through this formula. um, N, which is the number of years, you multiply that with n plus 1, and then you divide the whole thing by 2. Okay, so in our problem, the sum of the years would be this is 4 times 4 plus 1 over 2. That's actually 4 times 5 plus 20 over 2. Your SYD is equal to 10. Now, there is another way of doing this, which is you add all the digits of the year. That's why it's called sum of the years digit. So the other one is you add 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. So if the life of your asset is 10 years, so you can do 10 plus 9 plus 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, so you'll still arrive at 10 times 11, that's 100. 10 divided by 2, that's 55. Okay, so but on this one, if you do it manually, you'll still get 10. So 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. Okay, you'll still get 10. That's why we have this formula, because this will still give you the same answer with the ease of it. Kasi, what if the life of your asset is 50 years? Would you add all the digits of the years manually? That would be so tiresome. And it will be so cumbersome on your part. So with that, we will be using this formula. Okay. And then for the for your annual depreciation, we call it your SYD depreciation ratio. Symbol. No, not the symbol. Close cancel. No. Okay, that's right. So your SYD depreciation ratio, or your or we can just simply do it directly. So your SYD depreciation per year will be the total depreciable value, or your total cost less salvage value, and then you multiply that with fraction. Okay, so um, uh, years of useful life remaining over the SYD, sum of the years digits. Okay, so if we would go to our problem, no, okay. If we would go to our problem, so we now have our SYD. So on year one, for example, on year one, so the depreciation on year one would be, our total cost is, for depreciation on year one would be 95,000. minus the salvage value of 15,000. And then the years of useful life remaining is, since it's the first year, so there are still 4 years remaining life. And then you divide that by your SYD, which is 10. So with that, your depreciation for year one would be 80,000, and then multiply that by 4 over 10. So that's 32,000. So on year two, your SYD depreciation per year would be uh so now that would be 4 minus 1, which is 3. Okay, so uh 3 years na lang, so that would be 80,000 times 3 over 10 plus 24,000. No. 4,000. Then before I forget, by the way, here in your table, your annual depreciation should equal to your the total of your annual depreciation should equal your total depreciable amount. Okay, and your total depreciation, if you add that with your residual value, it should equate with your original cost. Okay, let's continue for year three. Okay, let me save this first. I'm sorry. Sorry. Oh my god. Hmm, scared me. Okay. What happened? Okay, new folder. Chapter discussion. Hmm, Depreciation. Okay. So with that, for on our year three, okay, so on your year three, you come from, this is how you do it, guys. On year one, so how many years are still? So year one, two, three, four. So that's 4 years. On year two, starting from year two, so 2, 3, 4. That's why you have 3 remaining useful life. On year three, so you count on year 3, 4. So meaning your remaining useful life here is 2. So that would mean 20% of 80 is, that would be 16,000. And then on year four, year four. Okay, sorry. On year four, that would mean 1 over 10, which is 8,000. Okay, so after determining what do you call this one? After determining all of your depreciation expenses for the 4 years, you can now then what do you call this one? You can now then uh, build your depreciation schedule. Okay, so okay. So for our schedule, we have these columns. End of year. How many columns do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. 4, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now we have our total depreciation. For our total depreciable value. And then we have our depreciation rate fraction, which is this one, guys. This is your depreciation rate fraction. And then we have our annual depreciation. Okay, annual depreciation. And then we have our accumulated depreciation. Can I just copy the one that I encoded a while ago, and then your book value. Yeah, let's just copy the two. Okay. Okay. So with that, we have again 4 years. So that's excuse me. One, two, three, four. Center. Total depreciable value is again 80,000 because that is 95,000 less the salvage value. Original cost less the salvage value. Depreciation rate fraction, we know that is 4 over 10. Oh my god. John, let's do fraction. Where's the fraction? Okay. So it's 4 over 10. Oh, okay. Let's just do this. 4 over 10. And then we have 3. hmm, we have 3 over 10. And then next is we have 2 over 10 and 1 over. As you can see, wait lang. Okay. So your annual depreciation then will be this one multiplied by 4 over 10 for the uh, second year times 3 over 10, which is your fraction. And then this one multiplied by 2 over 10. Lastly, this one multiplied by 1 over 10. Okay? So, for your accumulated depreciation naman, oh, I forgot to put a book value here again, 95,000. Outpatient line, right? Okay. For your accumulated depreciation, again, you'll just have to add from the previous, since what the previous with the new, with the depreciation for the year, and then you continue that along the table. And then for your book value, again, it's the um, original cost, and then we deduct from that our accumulated depreciation. Okay, so that will give us this one. So same as before, again, pag abot sa imuhang last, dapat mo equal sa imuhang estimated salvage value. And this is your original cost. Okay, and then as you can again, as also your annual depreciation should equate to your total depreciable amount, and when adding your total depreciation with your salvage value, that should equate to original cost. Now as you can see here guys, no, ang depreciation is written is constant. However, ang kang SYD is anam ug pagamay ang iyahang depreciation. Okay, so um, when you want to compute for, again, when you want to compute for what year, kung unsa imong depreciation for that particular year, ever discussed that here, as to kung unsa ang book value for that particular year, again, just deduct from your cost your oh, by the way, dito pa dahil, no? So what if I ask sa inyo ha kay total depreciation, total depreciation, um, total depreciation for what particular year. Okay, so for example, kay so total depreciation sa ato ang at year 3. Okay, so total depreciation at year 3. Depreciation at a particular period, particular year. Okay, so total cost minus salvage value times SYD of years remaining of SYD of remaining useful life. Uh, mhm. Okay. SYD less SYD of remaining useful life. Okay. So and then this is accumulated depreciation. So for example, on year three, okay, so the accumulated depreciation in year three would be, so this is, can I just copy this? Yeah, can I just copy this? Okay, okay. Now, our SYD, diba, is 10, right? And then, we deduct from that the SYD of the remaining useful life. So, meaning, pila ang, pila ang, this is, um, total cost. Ah, yeah, that's it, that's it, okay. So, remaining useful life ni, remaining useful life, ano ba naman ito buo? Okay. So some of the remaining, lagi SYD of the remaining useful life. So on year 3 man, so pila na lang ang nabilin dayon nga life after year 3. So after year 3, ha, you don't count on 3. You count after year 3. So you only have 1 year left. So that's 1. Okay? So if you compute that, so it will become 95,000 less 15,000, and then you multiply that with 10 minus 1 over 10. Coming to the bed. Ash sana sa'yo. Mm-hmm. Worst song from sa'yo, baby girl. There's a problem with this formula. Okay. Like, uh, this is 15. Ayun. So, so with that, no, we have calculated the accumulated depreciation in year 3. So what if on year 2? So what if on year 2? Okay. So since on year 2 man, so meaning 2 years na ang mag-ihap ka after year 2 ka. So na meaning naa pa kay year 3 and year 4. Now ang equivalent value ni year 3 o ni year 4 kay pabaliktad man ta, di ba? So meaning that is ang kang year 3 yung equivalent value is 2, and then ang equivalent value ni year 4 is 1, just like this one. 2 and 1. So meaning, or like we can, you can do it this way. Um, at the end of year 2, pila na yung mga accumulated depreciation. So meaning, nag-expire na ang 2 years, and then 4 years ang original life. So pila na lang ang remaining useful life. Remaining useful life is 2 years. So muna na siya mag 2 plus 1 ka. Okay, kaya remaining useful life is SYD again of remaining useful life. So with that, you'll get here 10 minus 2 plus 1. Okay. Then you'll get 56,000, which is equal to here. Okay. So if you want Diane to know what is the book value at particular year, so for in year 3, you just deduct this from your total cost. So your total cost is 95,000. You deduct this. Okay, so meaning you'll have 32,000 of book value at year 3, while on year 2, that's 95,000. Deduct from it this one. So nakay book value on sa at the end of year 2 na 39,000. So with that, we're done with our discussion um on some of the year's digit. Now let's go to our discussion on declining balance method. Okay. So for our declining balance method, um, Declining balance method. For the declining balance method, we have to know for this is actually parang you multiply the what you call this one. You multiply the um the rate that is used is a multiple of the straight line rate. Okay, so what is the straight line rate? No, so the straight line rate actually let's insert a symbol equation. Okay. So how do you get the straight line rate? So your straight line rate is simply equal to fraction 1 over useful life. And um, your depreciation rate per year then will be what you call your declining balance rate. This is the correct term. Your declining balance rate is equal to um your multiple this one, which is the straight line rate, multiplied by your multiple. So this multiple, it could be the 125%, the 150%, or the 200%, or whatever percentage ang gamiton. Okay? So when you say declining balance method, guys, your multiple should be more than 1, because if dili siya more than 1, hindi na siya declining balance rate. Pero whatever, there are instances ang na less than 1 siya, or like less than 100%. But the thing about when you say declining balance rate is that um your depreciation will be based on the declining balance of your or declining book value of your asset. That's why it's called a declining balance method. So yeah, actually, there is actually instances wherein the multiple is less than 1. It's just that for declining balance method, what the basis for depreciation is not the depreciable value, but it's the book value, beginning book value. Okay, so the beginning book value is equal to the ending book value of last period. Okay, so with that in mind, um, let's mhm. So again, your depreciation for the year again is what do you call this one? Okay, your depreciation for the year. Sorry, depreciation for the year is equal to beginning book value multiplied by your declining balance rate. Mean balance. Right. Okay. Now for our problem, our straight line rate is actually 1/4. Okay. I'm sorry. Our straight line rate is 1/4. So 1/4, and then uh our straight line rate is 1/4. That's 0.25. Our declining balance rate is equal to 1/4, and the first one was 200%, right? The multiple is 200%. Okay, so it would be equal to 1/4 times 200%. So that's zero point 0.5, or simply 0.25 times 2. That's 0.5. Okay, so depreciation for the year. So for year 1, our beginning book value is our original cost. So that's 95,000. And then you multiply that by by the, what do you call this one? You multiply that by you multiply that by the declining balance rate. So multiply that by zero point 0.5. So this is your depreciation for year one. Okay. For year two, this would be 95,000. So for year two, we have to know muna the ending book balance of year one. So this would be, it's like we're already building our our table anyhow. So plus 95,000 less this one. Okay. So for year two, our basis would be the beginning book value and multiply again by our depreciation rate. Okay, you have 10,3,750. So what is our what do you call this one? What is our book value now? So that's 47,500 divided by this one. So that's our ending book value for year two and beginning book value for year three. So what is our beginning book value? That's one that this it's 23,750. When you multiply that by 50,000, now 11,875. So here's the thing. If we deduct this from the if we deduct this one, the one 11,875 from the beginning book value, you will only get 11,875. Now here's the trick when it comes to declining balance method. You can never go down. You can never depreciate your asset more than the salvage value. So if this is the case, this will the depreciation will be adjusted para at the end of di bahala pag dili pa na siya year 4 bala year 3 pa na siya. Basta kay dapat whatever it is, dapat ang imuhang book value will not become lower than your salvage value. So pila man dapat ato ang depreciation to get 15,000. So dapat it's 8,750. So meaning on year 4 wala na kay depreciation. Para ma-maintain mo ang muhang 15,000. Now, if you will ask me, sir, is that okay? Is that possible? Yes, it is okay, and yes, it is possible. The thing kasi with declining balance method and SYD, as you can also see, guys, no, ang iyahang depreciation expense is di kanang gaanam po siyang pagamay. Meaning, dako sa susugod, mag-anam din siyang kagamay sa pinakala, same with SYD. Because the thing with declining balance and SYD is that it recognizes the fact that on the earlier years of the life of the asset, mas dako siya og kanang ma-produce or mas productive siya ba. So since mas productive siya sa first, as mag siya kagamay iyang productiveness. So with that in mind, muna siya nga gina-charge nila dako ang earlier years compare sa latter years. Okay? So with that, after computing for our what do you call this one? Kanang our depreciations for the year. Now we can create our table. So we have six. Okay, we have six columns. We'll use this. So end of the year, this one on second is beginning book value. And then the second one is depreciation rate. Then we have our depreciation for the year or annual depreciation, accumulated depreciation, and ending book value. Okay. With this, no, let's start building up our schedule. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Out each one center, and then our depreciation rate is 50%. Okay. And then our I forgot to add another line, so that's 95,000. Okay, so our beginning book value for year one is equal to this one, which is the ending book value of the prior period. And since this is new, then we use it as our very beginning book value for year one. And our annual depreciation for year one again is this one times this one for 700. Okay. Okay. And then our accumulated depreciation is again the depreciation from the previous period, which is wala pa man ka, plus the depreciation for this year. So with that, our ending book value would be our ending book value last time less our accumulated depreciation. Okay. So here, this again, this will be equal to this one, and then we multiply this by our depreciation rate, and then we'll get our accumulated depreciation, and then um, and we'll get our book value. Okay. So again, beginning book value. And then we already know that on the third year, we cannot do this because it will entail that our accumulated depreciation will be 83,125 and our ending book value will only be 11,875, which is lower or smaller or lesser than our salvage value. And since that cannot be, we then adjust our depreciation for year three, which is in doing it, we'll have to deduct from our ending book value of the prior period our salvage value to get our adjusted depreciation for year three. Okay, so 15,000. Okay, plus to that. And then again, if we multiply that here, we get 7,500. And if you do that, will our accumulated depreciation will be this one. And our ending book value will be equal to, sorry, just 7,500 is way below our salvage value. That is why we adjust it and we recognize nothing on year 4 to maintain our salvage value of 15,000. And again, that is acceptable and that is okay. Okay? Because it's the company who decides kung unsa nga depreciation method ang ilahan buhaton. Now, guys, if the problem is silent, always use what do you call this one, straight line method. But there are questions wherein you will be given sets of data and you will be asked what depreciation method was used. Okay, so in order for you to be in a for you to be able to know what depreciation method was used for a particular problem, then you have to practice a lot. Okay? Sige. Now, what if you'll be asked na, what do you call this one? Uh, how much is the depreciation on what particular year? Also, kanang, for example, on year 3. So, accumulated depreciation on a particular year. So what will be your formula for that? So accumulated depreciation in a particular year. Oh my God. So the accumulated depreciation for a particular year can be obtained by multiplying our original cost or original cost by um 1 minus depreciation rate 1 minus depreciation rate. And then you have to repeat this one. You have to raise to the power of, I think you have to, yeah, yeah. So wait lang. Okay. So insert I no, design. I have to go to the design script. Okay. Um, one less depreciation rate raised to the power of a depreciation rate raised to the power of years expired. Um, this is accumulated depreciation. Ah, no. Before we go sa accumulated depreciation for the year muna ta. Depreciation for the year. Depreciation of a particular year. Depreciation expense of a particular year. So total cost minus salvage value times. How did I do that? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So original cost times 1 minus depreciation rate year, raised to the power of years uh, uh, expired minus 1, and then you multiply this by you multiply this by uh, you multiply this by the depreciation rate. Okay. So for example, what is your depreciation expense on year 2? Year 2. Okay. So original cost nato is pila man to 95,000, and then you multiply that by 1 less 0.50 raised to the power of years expired is 2, right? Kaya year 2 man, so 2 years na na-expire minus 1, and then depreciation rate nato is 0.50. Okay, so if you solve this, so this would be 95,000, and then you multiply that by 1 less 0.50 is raised to the power of 2 minus 1, and then we multiply that by 0.50. Okay, so depreciation expense on year 2 is 23,750. Okay, but you have to be careful, because like for example, on year 3, it will be very different in year 3, because if you would do this, so it's 3, mm, let's see. Okay, this is the unadjusted depreciation expense that we got, right? Remember? But we adjusted it para ma-maintain nato tong 15,000 nato nga salvage value. Now, in order to check if your answer is kanang correct pa ba, if kanang no need to adjust ba, you'll need to know that yung accumulated depreciation of a particular year. So in order to know that, you'll have to um like do this. So original cost times 1 minus depreciation rate raised to the power of years expired. So hanggang dyan lang. So for example, on year 2, uh, wait lang guys let me imagine muna. Mhm. Yeah. Original cost less uh, real cost times 1 less. Mhm. This is the book value. This is the book value. Okay, let's just try this one. Okay, because I'm still imagining how it should look. Okay, so for example, on year 2, let's see if this formula would pull through. Okay, Original cost nato is 95,000. And then 1 hour depreciation rate is 0.5. And we raise that to years expired is 2 years. Okay. So if we solve for that, let us see, it's 95,000. We multiply that by 1 less 0.5 raised to the power of 2. 71,250 on year 2, which is our accumulated depreciation. So it pulled through. Okay. So what, and then, so on year 3, if we calculate this, and then year 3, okay, and then 3, okay, so 83,125. Now, if you check this, so from 9, if you check this, if you check your carrying amount, less the 15 the 95,000 less the our calculated accumulated depreciation, the 23,750 na book value or carrying amount is very well above pa of our salvage value, meaning this is correct and your depreciation expense for the year is correct. Okay. However, on year 3, if we calculate our accumulated depreciation, um, if we calculate our book value based on our calculated accumulated depreciation, this is below the set what do you call this one? The set salvage value. With that, you know na dapat kasi diba, your accumulated depreciation should be equal to your total depreciable amount. Even if it's not considered here, because we're not using our salvage value, but always remember that whatever depreciation method you use, your salvage value should be considered when it comes to your carrying amount or your book value. So with that in mind, your since your total accumulated depreciation should not exceed 80,000, we know that on year 3, the accumulated depreciation should be 80,000. Uh, should be 80,000. And in order for us to have the 80,000 accumulated depreciation, your depreciation expense for year 3 should be adjusted by 3,125. And this is a deduction to that. So your adjusted depreciation expense for year 3 then will be the 11,875 less your adjustment for depreciation. So with that, we have now our adjusted depreciation expense of 8,750 and our accumulated depreciation of 80,000. Okay? So with that, for your book value naman, guys, your book value formula is, you can just simply deduct naman this, your accumulated depreciation from your uh, original cost to get your book value balance. Okay, but do I have a what do you call that one? Do I have a formula or a shortcut formula for that for book value? Let's see. Let me try to create one. Book value. Book value on a particular year. So I think it would be just like this. Original cost. Mhm. Wait lang ha, kasi medyo minus this. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it will be this one. This is the formula for your book value in a particular year. So for example, on year two, so your original cost is 95,000 and your depreciation rate is 0.5. Then years expired, so of course 2 years. So with that, your book value should be equal to 95,000 multiplied by 1 less 50 raised to the power of 2. So your book value should be equal to 23,750, which is correct as to here until year 2. How about on year 3? Year 3, so this will become 3. So copy this. Okay, this will become 3. So it's 11,875, and again, we know that our residual value is 15,000, so we adjust it to 15,000. So our carrying amount on year 3 is 15,000, as seen here in your table. Okay, so with that, we're done with our discussion on declining balance method. Oh, not yet. Let's try our what they call this one, the second one, which is the 150%. So, sir, what if 150%? So let's copy this. Just copy everything. Good. Part of the world is that. Okay. So 1 over 1 is 0.25, and our multiple is 150%. So we'll get 1 over 4 times 1.5, 37.5. Okay. Plus 0.25 times 150%. So 37.5. So with that, um, our depreciation for the year is again, so ito lang 337.5. 37.5. Okay, this one 2.5. Then this one 2. Oh, plus this one times 375. Okay, so pwede pa. Plus this one times 0.375. Okay, sige. So in this case naman guys, no, pwede pa maka-depreciate pa ta sa year 4 because ang ending book balance ni asset at year 3 is still way above our salvage value. So with that in mind, sa last year lang rin ang mag-adjust. So ang last year is this one less than taog 15,000. So dapat mura ni ang ato ang depreciation expense. Okay, para mahimo siyang 15,000 ang ato ang carrying amount by the end of the 4th year. Okay, so let's copy this table. Okay. Okay, and then our depreciation rate is 37.5%. Okay, and let's just add 1. Okay, and then so ayun, our annual depreciation, this should be here. And then, however, on the last one, again, since we want our ending book value uh, to be equal to 15,000. So ang atong buhaton is we deduct from our ending book value at year 3 our salvage value of 15,000. So we copy this here. This is now your final, what do you call this one? Depreciation schedule for 150% and declining balance method. And again, your annual depreciation should equal your total depreciable amount. Now let's try our hands on this part while using the second table because I believe mas ideal siya gamitan ano yung mga formulas no kay on year 3 pala no need to adjust on year 3. Okay? Depreciation expense in a particular year, that's 195. Our declining rate is 37.5. Then times 37.5. Okay, so if we calculate that, this is 37.5. So we got 22,265.63 as our depreciation expense on year 2, and it's correct. Well, on year 3, no need to adjust because 37. Oh, 37.5. 37.5. So, paabot diri, 37.5 and 37.5. We got 13,916.02, which is equal to our depreciation expense per hour depreciation schedule. For our accumulated depreciation, so this will become 37.5 in our formula as well. 37.5. Okay, so that's 57,890 as our accumulated depreciation in year 2 and 37,109 as our book value. Accumulated depreciation in year 3, that's 37.5. Then we edit it here. Okay, 37.5. 71,0806.64 and 23,196.36. Okay, so that. And then for our book value in a particular year, so this is 37.5 as well. And when you calculate it, 37.5. So it's 37,109.38, 37,109.38. And for our year 3, 37.5. Then here, 37.5 as well. So that's 23,193.36, which is reflected in our table. So with that, we're done with our declining balance method. Lastly, we'll be discussing units of production method. Of production method. Okay, so for the units of production method, we still have to compute for our total depreciable value, which is, where is it? Mhm. Well, we know that it's 80,000, right? Because again, for our total depreciable value, it's total cost minus the salvage value, and then we'll have to compute for the depreciation per unit. Depreciation per unit. Okay, so for depreciation per unit, your formula is your total depreciable amount, actually, which is your total cost minus salvage value, all over the estimated units of useful life. So on the case of our problem, our depreciation per unit is equal to 95,000 less our 15,000. And then our units of useful life, which is, I think it was 8,000 hours. Let us recall the problem. Mhm. Yeah, 8,000 hours. Okay. So 8,000 hours. So our depreciation per unit would be 25,000 less 15,000, and we divide it by 8,000. So per hour of use is 10 pesos. So that's our depreciation per unit. So our annual depreciation then will be computed as follows. So annual depreciation, sorry, is equal to units produced or units used. So depreciation per unit multiplied by the units used or produced. Okay, so this units of production could be an input method or output method. Okay, when you say input method is kung like for example number of hours used, things like that. When units produced naman pod, it could either be kung pila ka units ang produced, things like that, or kanang number of quantity produced. Okay, sige. So for this, we'll have to, well, it will be based on actual, it will be based on actual usage, no? So for example, on year one, for example, on year one, they used 3,000 hours. On year two, they used 1,500. On year three, they used another 3,000. Let's just say 2,000. So that's actually, and on year four, they used 2,500. Okay. So for purposes of simplifying our discussion, no, because changes in accounting estimate will be discussed in your um, accounting subjects. Oh. Excuse me. So for now, let's assume that this number of there was no change in the estimate of the units of useful life. It's just that on the last year, uh, the usage of the computer system was unexpectedly beyond their expectation. Okay, so with that in mind, our annual depreciation is for year one is simply we have to multiply the number of hours used by the depreciation per unit, which is 10 pesos. So that's 30,000. Um, and the 15,000 for year two, for year three, that's 20,000. However, for year four, we don't know yet. Okay, so let's compute for our accumulated depreciation here. Okay, so that plus this one. And then that plus this one. Well, wala pa tanang lapas sa itong ang 80,000. However, if we, if we, if we, tawag na to, if we depreciate our computer system by 25,000 on year 4, our accumulated depreciation or total depreciation will exceed our total depreciable value by 10,000. Okay, again, remember our total depreciable value of 80,000, which is the total cost of 95,000 less the salvage value of 15,000. Kaya dapat dili ka malapos dito. So since we so natay dapat adjustment ka, so atong target diba is 80,000, 95,000 less 15,000. So meaning we have to adjust our depreciation expense on year 5 by how much? 10,000. So this one, we deduct this adjustment. Oh, okay. Sige. Anyhow, so we deduct from it 10,000. Meaning on year 4, our depreciation will be limited to kung pila na lang gid ang nabilin sa ato ang pila nabilin sa ato ang uh, what do you call this? Kung pila nabilin sa ato ang itong depreciable amount. Okay? So, sir, na ba instances, sir, nga, wala man po siya nag-ingon, no, nga year 4 lang, 4 years lang yan, taman, wala man siya nag-ingon. Ang iyahan lang yun is kung pila ang estimated units of useful life. So, it doesn't mean it needs to be year 4 or year, pwede siya mag-year 5, pwede siya mag-year 6, as long as na po available na nabilin sa imong units of useful life. So, with that in mind, let's build na our depreciation table. Okay. Sige. So, let's try to use this. Kamantong kang SYD. Okay. Have 2, 4, 6, 6 columns as well for our units of production. So, end of year, depreciation per hour. Per hour. Oh my god, save this muna. Depreciation per hour. And then we have hours used. And then annual depreciation, accumulated depreciation, and book value. Okay. So we have years 1, 2, 3, and 4. Depreciation per hour is 10 pesos. Hours used. This one. Okay. And our annual depreciation is this one times this one. Okay. Accumulate our, oh, I forgot to add 95,000 again. Okay. So our accumulated depreciation is accumulated depreciation balance from the previous year, but since this is year 1, so malamang wala. Add that on depreciation for this year. So on and so forth. Okay, our book value is this one less our accumulated depreciation. So and in year 4, we encountered an issue because if we depreciate our asset by 25,000, mo tawag nito, mo gamay ang ato ang book value kumpara sa ato ang kanang salvage value. So with that, we compute our should be depreciation expense for year 4, which is the book value in previous year less the salvage value. Meaning dapat 15,000 lang ato ang depreciation expense for year 4 para ang ato ang book value at year end will equal our salvage value. And again, our annual depreciation should equate our total depreciable amount, and total depreciation plus our salvage value should equate our original cost. Okay? So, sir, naabay technique unsa ang pagkabalo sa depreciation expense for a particular year? No need na ato nang gitudlo ganiha nga basta lang kay depreciation per unit, and then kung pila ka book ang nagamit or na-produce anang a particular year, that is your depreciation expense for that particular year. How about, sir, ang accumulated depreciation? So, accumulated depreciation would be accumulated depreciation, okay, in a particular year. Okay. So for your accumulated depreciation for a particular year, so it would equal, it would be solved with depreciation Depreciation, mhm, depreciation rate per unit. You multiply that by the total number of units produced. Okay. So for example, on year three, no? So on year three, our depreciation rate per unit is 10. And then we multiply that by the total number of units produced. So naatay 3, 3,000, 1,000, 1,500 o 2,000. It's 3,000 plus 1,500 plus the 2,000. Okay? So meaning our accumulated depreciation in year 3 would be 10 times 3,000 plus 1,500 plus 2,000. 65,000 daw, which is equal to the accumulated depreciation that we have here on our schedule. So for your book value naman, so simply calculate, no? Simply calculate your accumulated depreciation in a particular year. So kung year 3, yun, 65,000, and deduct that from your original cost, so 95,000 minus this one, you'll get your book value of 30,000 on that particular year. Okay, so with that, I guess we have covered everything na on our depreciation, on our chapter 8 discussion. So I'll be uploading this on YouTube, on your classroom. I hope that you have learned something. If you have any questions regarding this, please don't hesitate to ask me. Um, Also, please prepare for your post test. Again, I'm always reminding you this kay para magtanaw yun mo sa videos, no? So please prepare for your post test. It will be given within the week. So your links for your chapter summaries and for your chapter assignments will be uploaded in your classroom as well. And again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. And I hope you have learned something from this. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Have a great day.